Welcome back to the second part of the episode with Dennis Ford, where we talk about building corporate culture.
Cover empathy in grad school.
No.
Yeah, my MBA doesn't have empathy in it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
There's no class on that.
it's almost looked at. The irony is, it's almost looked at as a weakness in
I
the
think it is.
power structure of
It is.
corporate America. But for the people like Tony Hsieh, who at Zappos,
Yep.
he wrote a book called Delivering Happiness. You know what it's about? It's about his employees.
Mhm.
Has nothing to do with customers. Again, the irony, even in the world of customer service, I'm sort of going off on a tangent, but it fits with Tony Hsieh. What he realizes is that employees who are treated that way intrinsically give great customer service. Imagine yourself.
Yep.
You are browbeat, disrespected, unappreciated, crapped on at every turn. How's your customer service going to be?
Right.
The same.
Yeah. What's the
The same.
motivation? You have absolutely no motivation, no matter how much your company is saying, we're about great customer service. The worst phrase in corporate America, we're a culture of customer service. I can't even tell you how horrible that is, because you're saying to your employees, you don't matter.
Yeah.
It's all about the customer. It's not about you. Tony
Mhm.
Hsieh writes a book about how important his employees are. And I say this unabashedly. A company's greatest asset is not its customer. A
Yeah.
company's greatest asset is its employee. Every single company. I try and not say always and never, because we get ourselves in trouble with words like that. I absolutely believe that's an empirical truth.
Well, and it's interesting because I've read that book too. It's a great book. Zappos has done a great job from a culture perspective, and I think it ties into some of the other things like Richard Branson, saying take care of your employees, right? I mean, come on, this guy, Sir Richard is a pretty smart guy. That's made.
I quote him all the time.
Right?
He's like my hero.
Yeah, but it's a different paradigm that people have to think of, right? Because again, most of the time managers are taught that you take care of your shareholders or you take care of your customers and your customers take care of your shareholders. No, the paradigm is you take care of your employees.
Yeah.
Your employees will take care of your customers. If you take care of your customers, the shareholders are going to be fabulously delighted, right? I mean, Southwest is one of those examples. I think it may be the only company in U.S. history. I know from the airlines, I think they have had back-to-back profit quarters for like 40 years.
Yeah.
No other company has profit every single quarter, right? So they're doing something right, and it's because the way they treat their employees. They allow their employees to be human, to make jokes, to do things that are different. They've got that culture of that team feel that we're all in it together. The pilots get out of the cockpit and help load bags if they need to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? They're unionized, but the union doesn't care because the union, everybody gets along. We're all on the same team, right? And
I actually highlighted Herb Kelleher in the book.
Did you? Okay.
Because he did this 50 years ago.
Yeah, nobody else was thinking about it.
Talked about culture. At least now there's sort of a cognizance of culture. When Herb Kelleher did this, word never even came into the lexicon of corporate speak.
Mhm.
He was way ahead of the curve, and you're exactly right in everything you just said. And even add to that, it may be the worst perceived industry of any industry in business. I mean, how often does somebody say, "God, I had a great trip on American Airlines"? No one ever. Oh man, that Delta, those guys rock. I mean, all you ever hear is complaints.
Yeah.
And then you hear people rave about Southwest Airlines. You would think the other airlines would go, what are we missing here? But they don't.
Well, or some of them have given kind of a half-assed try. A couple of them tried doing a Southwest look-alike for a while, but the problem is, and I love the Southwest example because they show you exactly what they're doing.
Mhm.
And even when companies try to copy exactly what they're doing kind of operationally, they still fail because they don't have the culture, right?
Yeah, that's stuff.
Culture eats strategy for breakfast, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's stuff is not culture.
Yep.
And that is, we're sort of coming full circle on this point, but most leadership in most companies, I think, believe stuff is culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whether it's recognition or stuff.
Or those perks. I mean, there's a company that I go out and do massage for every 2 weeks, and everybody is so ecstatically happy working there. You're allowed to bring your dog. They give you the gym membership. They used to help you finance your car. They did give you all that stuff. And through that stuff, though, it showed you're a human being. We appreciate you. You want to bring your dog? Great. They put in, one of the women got pregnant. They put in it's a telescope company. So they have a nap room only because people are there at night. Kind of with telescopes, easier to see stars. But they put in a whole breastfeeding thing because they listened to what people needed. They bring me in to do massage because they know that I help with the stress, that they're happy people, that you want a stand-up desk, you get a stand-up desk. It's like they have really sort of modeled themselves after Google and given those perks to show the employees that they are respected. So it is, don't be an asshole to everybody, but I do think those perks show people that they're respected and show people that their needs are being met. So I love that you say culture isn't stuff, but I think the stuff feeds into that culture.
I cannot agree more, because the stuff that you're describing is a manifestation of leadership's culture. Now, if leadership didn't have that culture, and if people felt that they were browbeaten, disrespected, and not honored and not respected in any way, they'd get their massage and say, "You owe me that and more, pal."
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it wouldn't be the same result that you experience, because what you're experiencing, I absolutely believe, and I think you recognize this, is the culture. And then the people embrace those perks because it's a manifestation of how much leadership cares about them.
Yeah.
Again, no culture in the history of ever was created by employees down here and moved upwards to C-suite leadership. Every culture always starts at the top and matriculates downward. And clearly the culture of that company gets their employees, has empathy for their needs. Everything you just described is because they have an empathy for what their employees are going through. I love that. I absolutely love that.
Well, and I think it's interesting because, like you said, it's that empathy or that caring and actually showing people that you care for them as a human being, which, you know what, honestly, that actually takes some work. Managers and leaders that are listening to this, right? You actually have to get out of your office and go talk to people. And you have to empathize with people. And, because I thought it was interesting, like you said, with your, like the ping pong tables and the stuff that people just try to put in there and think that's culture now.
Yeah.
But the problem is what you end up seeing is a lot of times when leaders do that, they'll put in the game room, but then they won't let their people go in there and play, or they will say things like, "Oh, Kathy and Jason are hanging out at the ping pong table an awful lot." Right. And then it's like, shit, you put this thing here and then if we actually use it, right, then you're going to, get honest about it. There has to be some congruency and alignment with it, and actually realizing why you're putting the ping pong table there.
And recognition can backfire.
Oh, it does all the time.
If somebody gets treated like crap, week in, week out, but then they get $100 gift certificate. Here's your gift certificate to Target as part of our recognition program.
Yep.
Wait, I can get bought off for $100? I mean, that's my value to you. If it's a good culture, an appreciative culture, an empathetic culture, it's like, God, I can't believe you guys did this for me. That is really cool, because I love coming to work here, and I get this too. The flip side of that, if they're not respected and treated well, and it's very, very primal. I don't know if we have time. One more quick story. Do we have time?
Yeah.
Okay. The book was actually, the working title was going to be Everything I Needed to Know About Business I Learned Waiting Tables.
I was going to tell you to tell a story, actually.
Okay. So I'm not out of line. Okay.
Go for it.
The behaviors we're talking about, as I said, are very primal. As human beings, this is what we do. So I put myself through school at a restaurant called Nantucket Lobster Trap, the only fresh seafood in all of Phoenix at the time. And so super good food, busy all the time. So There's my 4-table station, super busy night as usual. And I realize that I have not only checks down on all 4 tables, everybody's paid. Now, if you've ever been a server, could that be trouble? Yeah. But I'm thinking, no, the hostess will have my back. She won't seat me all at once. I go to the kitchen, do a little side work, come back. Sure enough, 4 brand new tables. Now, I'm a pretty good waiter, say very good waiter, but I can't violate the laws of physics and be in 4 places at the same time, which is actually where I need to be. So now it's a little damage control. I grab the water pitcher, head to the first table. Hi, folks. How you doing? My name's Dennis. I'll be your waiter tonight. Welcome to the Lobster Trap. Let me tell you about our halibut from Block Island, just flown in. Gonna knock your socks off. And I go through all the specials. So I got to the second table. Same thing. Hi, folks. My name's Dennis. I'll be your waiter tonight. I'm going through the specials, and I hear this behind me. And so I caught a peek over my shoulder. Sure enough, it's my third table. And he wasn't just looking at me. He was just, by God, somebody was going to pay attention to him. So I get to that third table. Hi, folks. My name's Dennis. I'll be your waiter tonight. Sorry you had to wait a couple of minutes, but I'm here now, and we're going to get you rocking and rolling. Have a great night. So I get to the 4th table. And before I can say a word, the fellow there says, hey, Dennis, how you doing? Looks like you're having quite a night. I laughed. I said, let me guess. You had your whole station set at the same time, didn't you? And I laughed, said, yeah, I did. He goes, tell you what, by the way, I'm David. This is Eileen. We're here for the long run. So we're going to have a nice night. If you can have the cocktail waitress come over, we're going to have a cocktail, maybe 2. When you get yourself squared away. So you just go do whatever you have to do on those other tables. And when you have time, come back, see us, tell us about the specials. We'll start our night. Now, one table that night got my absolute stone cold, above and beyond service in every way. Everything that was in my purview as a waiter to give, I gave. Mm-hmm. Oversized shrimp and crab cocktails. I picked out the cuts of fish, handed them to the chef. I bought them an after dinner drink. I comped them desserts. And what I will say to you and to anyone, who do you think got that level of service?
Wasn't it this guy?
Yeah.
No.
Jason.
Your mom was there?
So it begs the question, because it was a rhetorical question.
Oh, sorry.
It begs the question, why would I do that? And because you could say, well, was there a bonus? Was there some perk for me waiting other than the tip? I didn't know them. They weren't friends. They weren't family. So why would I do that? Well, the answer feeds into what we're talking about, because they showed me respect and understanding and empathy. Mm-hmm. They looked at my situation as opposed to their own. They actually sublimated their needs to get dinner to my needs to get caught up. And my choice, and this is really important, and it's the bedrock of everything we're talking about. My choice was to give them everything that I had to give, because they had shown me that kind of appreciation and empathy and respect. Now, conversely, there was a table that night that got my absolute most mediocre, I won't get fired tonight, but not by much level of service. Yeah. So I wasn't going to get fired, but no, those people were going to get nothing. Now, anecdotally then, and metaphorically, take this story to the hundreds of millions of employees in American business, and how they're treated each and every day, and what motivates them to do the type of job that they choose to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you, though. You use the word choice, which is so important, because we so often forget that we have a choice. And when we're in a situation that we don't like, we have 3 choices. We can leave the situation, we can change the situation, or we can change ourselves. It's really hard to leave the situation. It's really hard to change the situation unless you are the guy in charge. So you have a choice. You have a choice as to how you respond to these things that are thrown at us. And, you know, when we're and I've had people do that, they call and they get cranky with me on the phone before their massage, and they demand all this stuff. And I'm thinking, you understand I'm about to put my hands on your body, right? You might want to be a little bit nicer, because why would you treat me like crap and then want me to do healing work on you? I mean, like that, like, use your head with that. You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. So we have that choice as how we respond.
We absolutely do. Now, I'm going to guess you both of you are familiar with the film Office Space.
Oh, yes.
Most iconic film. I actually show clips of it in my keynote.
Oh, yeah. And Ron Livingston is really hot.
That's why
I just have to say, I met him at a party and he was just beautiful. Anyway, yeah.
Well, I think he's hot too. But that iconic scene, he's in with Bob and Bob. And Bob, the consultants are deciding who they're going to let go. And everybody knows that's the reason. Well, he's already been hypnotized. into his I don't give a crap mode. So he's there, he's in his hoodie, he doesn't care. So Bob, they say, well, okay, well, tell us about a day, Peter. And Peter goes, well, I usually come in about a half hour late, and I come in by the side door so Lumberg doesn't see me. And I get to my desk, and I pretty much zone out for a couple of hours. Whoa, what do you mean? What do you mean you zone out? I stare at my computer, my desk. It looks like I'm working, but I'm not. Then I go to lunch, and I'll be at lunch an extra half hour, and I'll come back in the afternoon, pretty much do the same thing. You know, Bob, I don't think I do an actual 15 minutes of real work in any given week. And I'll show that, and there's laughing, but then I'll turn to people and say, you know how real this is. Anyway, tell me that this is not a real scenario. And an employee, going back to your choice, they can choose to do a number of things in the workplace because they're not monitored all the time. They choose the level of effort and output. And I just love that story because I love what he says. I do an actual 15 minutes of real work. And employees go, yeah, that's me. Sure. That's what I can do. My paycheck doesn't change. Right.
Well, and I think it's interesting because even going back to your story, you know, in the restaurant, you know, to try to get, you know, a few practical things for people to actually use here, right? Because again, that fourth gentleman and the way that he showed that empathy and that respect for you, he was the one that put it forth, right? Because it always gets me, you know, when I'm talking to executives or managers, and it's even the old trust thing, right? I'm only going to trust you if you prove that I can trust you. Well, trust doesn't work that way. You have to trust first, right? For then the other person to trust you. And it's the same thing as we're talking about here, right? If you want to receive empathy and respect yourself, you have to show it first. And so, you know, if you're that manager, if you're that leader, get out of your chair and actually go out and have real human conversations with people. Actually get to know who people are, because once you have that connection and they know that you care, right, then it's going to be your experience in there. It's not going to be the guy doing 15 minutes of work in the week. He's going to go, holy crap, Dennis is an amazing guy. I would die for this guy, right? And sometimes it just takes little things like, well, you know, because you see this all the time, right? Supervisor getting on somebody about coming in 15 minutes late because you're supposed to be here by 8:30 and they get there at 8:45 every day and blah, 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 right? And if you'd actually stop and talk to the person, what you might find out is their responsibility in the family is to drop the kids off at school. And the kids can't be dropped off at school until this time, which means the earliest they can get there is 8:45. So guess what? Act like a human being and actually realize that and respect that person, because they're probably going to stay 15 minutes late, right? Because they know that, but work with them as a human. And when you do those little things and you actually respect and show that, they're going to give it right back to you.
I absolutely agree that as human beings, there's nothing more important in all of this that we're talking about than what you just brought out. And that's that when we are treated with that empathy and respect and understanding and trust, we don't just give that back. We give more. If most people, unless we're just kind of rotten to the core, we give back above and beyond. Yeah. We want to give back more. I have more stories in the book, whether they're restaurant stories or I was a ski instructor for years, and it was just a rare culture that I got to work in. And they're simple, fun stories, but they're indicative of exactly what we're talking about and exactly what is missing in probably 95% of the corporate structures. Yep. Small company, medium company, large company.
Yeah. And what's so cool is we carry this all forward. So whether it's we carry that workday out into the world, like we started talking about at the beginning, or that office guy who works 50 hours a week and sees this amazing culture, when he goes off from that company and starts his own thing, then he treats his staff that way, and he treats his company that way, and that culture grows and grows and grows. And I think and we could go off on millennials, but I think the millennials, they expect a certain respect and empathy in corporate culture. And so I think as they grow and get older and become too spread out in their own companies, I think we're going to see culture becoming more important and culture growing. And we've got to wrap. We could talk about this all day. This is so great.
And
We've got to stop now.
I love that you just
I'm
said
holding
that.
on to your book.
Okay. Can I just, and if we're ending with this, I adore the mindset that millennials have. I rail on that, sort of my age, my generation beats on millennials, Gen Y, Gen Z is, well, they're untrainable and they're entitled, and that I couldn't be more in disagreement. And I think that millennials and Gen Y and Gen Z are going to change the face of business as we know it and make it better.
Yep.
Cool. That's a beautiful way to end. So Dennis, how do people reach you if they want to learn more and get your book and all that good stuff?
Well, my book is on Amazon, so it's pretty easy to find. If you were to go to Amazon and put in Monetize Your Culture or my name. My company is called Quantum Leap Productions, and we're pretty easy to get a hold of. Our website is simply qlpnow.com, and we do a whole array of things. And you're kind to ask. Thanks.
You are welcome. Hey, everybody, this has been an awesome conversation. Jason, any final thoughts before we let everyone go?
Well, yeah, I guess just quick to kind of wrap back up. I mean, I think, again, it's, some practical things that you can do. Go out there and be that kind of person that you hope other people are. Because when you treat people with respect, when you're empathetic, you're going to get it back. It's that whole, theory of general reciprocity that as you put that out, as you put that forward, it ends up having that rippling effect. And it's not just in our personal lives, but also, as we've been talking about today, even in the corporate life. But you've got to have the courage to actually be the one to do it first. So if you want a better world, it has to start with you by treating other people in your life like human beings.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about making that choice.
Who would have thunk it?
I know. It's like
be the change you want to see in the world.
That is
and what a phenomenal place to end. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning into this episode of the Fire and Earth podcast. I'm Kathy Groover. I can be reached at kathygroover.com.
And I'm Jason Mefford. I can be reached at jasonmefford.com. Go out, have a great rest of your day, make the world a better place, and we'll see you on another episode of the Fire and Earth podcast.
Thanks, kids. Nice to be here.
Thanks, Dennis.